Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Seattle Central. I am Jessica Norouzi, Seattle Central's Executive Director of our new Office of Strategic Partnerships, and I'm pleased to MC Engage 2019, our convocation for faculty and staff. I'd like to start off our morning the way that we like to open all Seattle Central events with our land acknowledgement statement. On behalf of Seattle Central College, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as the traditional home of the Coast Salish people, the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. Without them, we would not have access to this gathering and to this dialogue. I ask that we take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land who are still here. So before we dive into our program, I want to take one more brief moment to thank the Brian Kirk Trio for filling the room with the lively music this morning. Also, thank you to SCC TV. They are live streaming today's program on seattlecolleges.tv, and we'll have it available on demand as well. One last housekeeping note, be sure to silence those cell phone ringers so that everyone can enjoy our program today. And we have an engaging morning ahead, so let's get started. With me on stage is the chair of our Board of Trustees for the Seattle Colleges, Steve Hill, Vice Chair Rose Bateola, and trustees Louise Turnen and Teresita Bateola. And our vice chair, Rosa Peralta. We also have our Seattle College's Chancellor, Shouan Pan, and Seattle Central President, Sheila Edwards Lange. Unfortunately, trustee Robert M. Williams sends his regrets as he was unable to join us today. We also have the members of our leadership team here in the front row. Please hold your applause while I announce their names. We have President Warren Brown from North, President Rosie Rimando-Chareunsap from South. We also have Kurt Buttleman, Vice Chancellor of Academic and Student Success, Jennifer Dixon, Interim Vice Chancellor for Human Resources, Jennifer Struther, Interim Vice Chancellor for Finance and Operations, Carrie Howell, Vice Chancellor of Advancement, Associate Vice Chancellors Malcolm Groth for Workforce, Andrea Inslee for Global Initiatives, Cindy Ricci for Information Technology, Ernest Phillips for Communications and Strategic Initiatives, and Steve Leahy, our Director of Government Relations. And a special welcome to Jon Fine, who has graciously agreed to moderate today's panel. Please join me in another round of applause. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Seattle Central's President, Sheila Edwards Lange.
Well, good morning to everyone, and welcome to Seattle Central College. So I'm going off script. For how many of you is this your first time on campus? Wow, well, definitely a welcome to you who are here for the first time. The theme of today's convocation is engage, and that really sent me to thinking about how our college here engages with our students and our community. We engage by pursuing partnerships and improvements that advance equity and social justice. That is our unique identity here at Seattle Central. We have some exciting new partnerships with the Academy for Rising Educators, promoting the development of more teachers of color in the Seattle Public Schools. We have a new partnership. Yes, that is pretty exciting. I always have to thank Dr. Pat Russell for her leadership on that and bringing that together. And I know she's here somewhere. We have an exciting new partnership with Europe, along with South Seattle, where we're bringing Opportunity Youth in and providing them with a year of training and mentorship. And our first cohort of 80 students started in the spring, so we are very excited. And we will be celebrating that partnership with South Seattle and the Year Up team later on this fall. And we have our continuing partnership with Kaiser to promote more diversity in the medical assisting field, and we started our second cohort of that. So new partnerships here at Seattle Central, and we are launching Seattle Pathways. Our sister college, South Seattle, is far ahead of us, and we are going to learn from them. But one of the things that we are doing here at Seattle Central is really taking a hard look at the inequities in our educational outcomes, particularly for African American male students. So we have entered into these partnerships as part of our theme of being central to the community. We feel like we thrive when our community thrives, and that community includes our sister colleges and our district that supports and guides us all. So I welcome you today as we celebrate our shared mission and engage our sites together in this march towards our beloved community. Thank you again, and enjoy the activities and opportunities ahead of you in today's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. A long-standing tradition for Convocation is a greeting from our employee unions. Please welcome Matthew Davenhall, representative for the Washington Federation of State Employees, Local 304, Annette Stouffer, president of the American Federation of Teachers, Local 1789, and Cody Hyatt, president of American Federation of Teachers, Professional Staff.
Good morning. I'm just here to thank you, everybody, for participating, and also thank everybody who helped get our contract passed this year. We did excellent in our contract. We got an 8% raise this year. We're going to get another 3% next year, which is kind of the biggest things we've had in a long, long time, which help our members to stabilize them, to stay here in Seattle. So I just want to thank you, and God bless you.
Good morning and welcome back to a new year. I'm Annette Stouffer, the president of AFT Seattle Community Colleges, Local 1789. I am going to follow the theme of engagement today. I was really pleased to hear what it was. The current slogan for the American Federation of Teachers is, "We care, we fight, we show up, we vote." In other words, we engage in many ways that matter to our members and our communities. Unions do a lot more than just fight for higher salaries and benefits. To quote Jon Fine, who was the former president of the AFL-CIO, as it has over the decades, the union movement stands for the fundamental moral values that make America strong: quality education for our children and adults, affordable health care for every person, not just some, an end to poverty, secure pensions and wages that enable families to sustain the middle-class life that has fueled this nation's prosperity and strength. Union members and other working family activists don't just vote our moral values, we live them. We fight for them day in, day out. Our commitment to economic and social justice propels us and everything we do. So today, as you think about engagement in our system of higher education, I will suggest some ways to engage as members of the labor movement. Engage in politics. Speak up to elected officials. Contribute to campaigns that matter to you. Run for office and make change from inside the system. Everybody wants to do that, right? Engage in elections. Be informed, study the candidates and the issues. Work on a campaign. Get out the vote. And cast your own vote every single time. Engage in your union. Read your contract and stand up for your rights at work. For faculty, get involved in preparations for upcoming contract negotiations. Share ideas and criticisms about our contract. Serve on the bargaining team or the action team that will support the process. Be involved in legislative efforts that make our institutions stronger. Over the last year, we saw the power of unity and engagement when the WFC classified staff, the AFT pro staff, the chancellor, college presidents and administrators, AFT Seattle faculty, and hundreds of students got engaged in a push for better funding for the community and technical colleges. Our engagement resulted in something that hadn't happened before in Washington. We got a 5% regional pay differential for those of us working in King County. Very exciting. That's just one of the many gains that we made because of the work that you all did. So stay engaged in whatever way is meaningful to you. Care, fight, show up, and vote. That's what union members do. I look forward to a good year of working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew and Annette. We have almost 2,000 faculty and staff at the Seattle colleges. This year, we are recognizing 3 of our colleagues with the Trustees Lifelong Learning Award. The award celebrates their outstanding commitment and dedication to their students, their jobs, and working together. These awards were established in 1991 to help support the intellectual and professional growth of Seattle College's employees. Each of today's awardees will receive $1,500 toward that goal. The awards have special meaning because the nominations were submitted by us as their colleagues. Please welcome our Board Trustee Chair, Steve Hill, to the podium for the presentation of the awards.
Thank you, Jessica, for the introduction and your leadership. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to represent my fellow trustees in recognizing the accomplishments of our outstanding faculty and staff who contribute so much to the colleges and student success. There is no higher calling than teaching and supporting students in their learning. The trustees appreciate the effort and process in both nominating and selecting the honorees this morning from so many outstanding members of our community. So let's begin. The first Trustee Lifelong Learning Award is to classified staff recipient Patricia Gorman, Service Learning Coordinator at Central. So I'm privileged to say a few words about Patty. In her 21 years of service at Seattle Central, Patty Gorman's commitment to service learning has been matched only by her passion for social justice and inclusivity. Patty has been a fixture of Central's service learning program since its inception, where she was its second coordinator. In this role, she recruited and trained Central faculty and in service learning pedagogy, arranged community partnerships for student placements, and represented Central at service learning conferences and meetings. Today, she is considered a widely respected practitioner of service learning, regularly receiving inquiries from around the country. Patty's collaborative skills are evidenced in some of the most innovative campus committees, including Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, Food Pantry, Global Education, Design Team, the Task Force on Undocumented Students, Yom HaShoah Day 2019, and White Allies and Civic Engagement Initiative. She's a strong supporter of Central's coordinated studies programs. Patty facilitated speakers and symposiums for programs including Dragon Ascending 30 Years After the Vietnam War in 2005 and Holocaust Memory and Meaning in 2007. In 2016, she received an award from the Classified Development Advisory Committee for her outstanding leadership and commitment to collaboration, equity, and inclusion. Please join me in a round of applause for Patty. Our next recipient is Laura Kingston, Faculty Assessment Coordinator and tenured English instructor at South. In her 12 years of service with Seattle colleges, Laura Kingston has been a constant source of leadership and collaboration. She started teaching part-time English at North Seattle College in 2004. From 2007 to 11, Laura served as a full-time tenured English faculty at South. And while at South, she worked with deans across the district to facilitate the creation of one common English 101 course, outline and outcomes, the first such collaboration in the district. Congratulations. As an Associate Dean of Academic Transfer, Laura led efforts to streamline the process for recruitment, hiring, and supervision of part-time faculty. While in this role, she also managed South's Workforce Development Council and Hospital Education and Employment Training Grant budget and goals, supporting faculty in creating and teaching contextualized curricula. In 2018, Laura assumed the role of Interim Dean of Georgetown, taking ownership of the apprenticeship program. While developing relationships and apprenticeship partners, negotiating contracts, and analyzing cost efficiency, she also was a determined advocate for apprenticeship programs, resulting in a district-wide apprenticeship task force. Thanks to her efforts during the 18-19 academic year, the $1.2 million apprenticeship deficit was reduced by more than half. It is my pleasure to present this award to Laura. Our next recipient is Lydia Minatoya. In her 32 years as a counseling faculty member, Lydia has devoted her initiative and compassion to North Seattle and Seattle colleges as a whole. Lydia served over 10 years as North's lead coordinator, consistently earns high student evaluation, and contributes to the campus care team. She writes and publishes preventative mental health and education self-help material on counseling's interactive website. Lydia also helps students and employees by broadly communicating about timely issues and events such as preparing for exams, finding personal meaning and commitment with MLK Day, and how to manage sudden shock resulting from national, local, and personal tragedy. Lydia is an award-winning author. Her coming-of-age memoir, Talking to High Monks in the Snow, explored issues of identity and belonging and earned numerous national awards. Her literary novel, The Strangeness of Beauty, is an exploration of family, culture, and political conscience in Japan and America during the era between the two world wars. The novel was nominated for both the National Book Award and the International Impact Dublin Literary Award. Lydia also is a scientific author who served on the editorial board of the National Journal for multicultural counseling and won an award for her international research. I have some suggestions to add to suggest to my book group for books for them to read. Lydia has brought her experience as a writer of color to public presentations across the country and to diverse classrooms through Seattle colleges. Her interest in access and success is displayed in college committees promoting student success, diversity, and curriculum. She contributes to numerous civic organizations and has served on the board of directors of Seattle's Asian Counseling and Referral Service, which annually offers service in 40+ languages to over 35,000 people. How about a big round of applause for Lydia?
Let's give our winners another round of applause. Thank you for your commitment to our students and the community, and thank you, Steve Hill, again for your presentation. It is now our pleasure to recognize one of the many transformative initiatives at Seattle Colleges. Seattle Colleges is one of the 19 charter members of the League for Innovation in the Community College, a select group of colleges recognized for ongoing innovations in higher education. Every year, the League honors one important program from each of the charter colleges. The 2019 Innovation of the Year Award for Seattle Colleges goes to Seattle Promise. Will the Innovation awardees please stand when I read your name? Amy Brown, Kurt Buttleman, Vanessa Colonzo, Barb Childs, Sheila Edwards Lange, Victor Kuo, Melody McMillan, Rosie Rimando-Chareunsap, Tracy Russell, Corinne Soltis, and the late Elizabeth Pluta, who designed and championed the Seattle Promise precursor, the 13th year program at South. There are many more people in this room who have contributed to the success of the Seattle Promise and to our students. Can you all please stand if you've had a hand in this initiative so we can recognize your work? Come on, don't be shy. Next, I would like to introduce our Chancellor Shouan Pan. An accomplished leader in higher education, Chancellor Pan brought his experience as a college president, provost, administrator, and professor to Seattle colleges more than 3 years ago. In that time, he has established himself as a respected leader in the community and has led Seattle colleges through a period of unprecedented change that was necessary for growth and sustainability. Whether it's been formulating a common strategic plan or implementing a new program, he is dedicated to working with internal and community stakeholders to build consensus and secure support. Please join me in welcoming our leader, Dr. Shouan Pan.
Thank you, Jessica. Good morning. Welcome. I'm truly thrilled that our Board of Trustees, College President, other members of Chancellor's Executive Cabinet have joined us here to help kick off the 2019 and 2020 academic year. Before I proceed with my remarks, let me ask all new employees, faculty, staff, administrators to stand up and be recognized if are new to this convocation. Thank you. Thank you. For sure, you are selected, appointed to your positions not because you are standing up, but because you stood up in the selection process. We know individually and collectively you have a great deal to contribute during your tenure to the mission of our colleges. Among the new employees is Carrie Howe. She joined the Seattle Colleges in April as our new Vice Chancellor for Advancement. As an experienced leader in the philanthropic world, Carrie leads the new Seattle Colleges Foundation, will help increase our system capacity for raising private funds. Welcome, Carrie. I also want to take a minute to share that Dr. Kurt Bottleman, who served as our interim Vice Chancellor for academic student success for over a year, was recently appointed permanently as the Vice Chancellor for academic student success. Now he has a shorter title but more responsibilities. Fall is a special time for all of us. As the new semester begins, we are eager to become fully engaged in the work ahead of us. For sure, we have much to do. You may have noticed that engage is the theme throughout this convocation. This was suggested by Latrice Arthur, our events manager. By the way, she's the brain behind the Latrice, thank you. The word engagement will likely become a theme for our convocations for this and future years. It is my hope that all of us across our enterprise become fully engaged in this and future years in the work we do. Seattle Colleges means something special to each one of us because will always be a mission-driven institution, preparing students, all of them, to succeed in life and work is our top priority and our steadfast commitment. I'm pleased to say that we have taken that charge very seriously. We have been at it for over 50 years. Along the journey, like many good organizations do, from time to time, we review our mission, readjust our strategies, reset our strategic goals. I'm certain you remember, for over 2 years, between 16 and 18, we undertook a planning process whereby we reviewed, updated our mission, vision, values, and strategic goals. You have at your seat a sheet of paper which spells out the 4 strategic goals and the methods of measurement that track our progress. Please take it with you to become familiar. I'm pleased to report that thanks to the guidance of our board and the dedicated work leaders across the district, faculty, and staff, we have made progress. We have made achievements. Allow me to brag a little bit. Goal 1, student success. Seattle Pathways. Our 3 colleges are now have fully embraced the initiative, working together to implement transformative changes. To date, we have established 8 common areas of study. We have begun to offer cohort intrusive advising. The English faculty across the colleges have begun to offer accelerated English pathways. Starfish Phase 1 implementation is complete, and Phase 2 has begun. Earlier this month, 20 faculty members plus 20 staff members across the colleges completed Starfish pilot group training. These completers come from all 3 colleges, many different disciplines. They have become experts, will be on campus to help with other faculty and staff. On June 19th and 20th, our faculty developer, Dr. Eileen Sun, the District Faculty Development Committee successfully planned and offered a 2-day summer institute great teachers for the 21st century. Our faculty staff coming together enjoyed learning, discussing innovative, field-driven practices in excellent teaching and learning. Goal 2, this is important to Seattle College, is about equity, diversity, inclusion, and community. You know, we have 3 associate vice presidents for equity, diversity, inclusion. If you're in the room, please stand. Let us recognize you. Appreciate you joining Seattle Colleges. They are working together with Dr. Rosie Rimando-Chareunsap to develop a district-wide equity, diversity, and inclusion plan. This group will be beginning to offer the Equity Leadership Capacity Building. A series workshop will be offered this fall. Inclusion advocates and the 3 colleges, North recently opened Equity Welcome Center. At the South, we also have a Center for Equity, Inclusion, Diversity at the Central Office of Multicultural Services. At the South, you know, they recently, about 42 faculty staff volunteered for 2 or 3 days, engaged in a very intensive training about equity. This is a program that brought people together, fundamentally re-examine how we deliver education, how we relate to each other. This is important work. We have inclusion advocates, 42 of them throughout the colleges have been trained. They serve as advisors and resources for each of the selection committees. We also have 2 award-winning administrators. First, our own president from North Seattle Colleges, Dr. Brown, was honored by his alma mater, Portland State University, with the President Diversity Award. Congratulations. Molly Mitchell, Seattle Central's Director of Student Support Program, received the State Association of College Trustees Equity Award in recognition of her exemplary work in promoting diversity and student success. Congratulations, Molly. Our 3rd goal has to do with organizational excellence. Under the leadership of Cindy Ricci and the hard work of IT managers and staff across the colleges, a number of core technologies and processes are now standardized. We now have one common Wi-Fi network, one common login process, one common printing software for all students across the campuses, common deployment and management of the Mac computers. Software renewal used to be all over the place. Now we're done through one account. Many of you participated in commencement 2019. 1,200 plus students walked joyfully, happily, proudly across the state. The totality of this number of students demonstrate our institution's impact for education, attainment, economic development in Seattle. International programs, over the course of last year and a half, international program staff managers across all 3 colleges, led by Andrea Ainsley and Cassie Kwilinski, worked together to develop a comprehensive integration plan that calls for 4 integration in 2 years. The implementation plan has been approved, and the implementation is well underway. When fully properly integrated, the plan will yield savings and make our international programs much more agile, much more competitive and responsive. Earlier, you heard Annette Stauffer talk about regional pay. I remember last year at this convocation, I urged all of us to advocate for our faculty staff through competitive and regional pay. As Annette said, we worked together, whether it's our 3 union partners, college presidents, students, we worked together, we made a difference. This session ended with one of the best funding for community technical colleges, including the 5% regional pay. Thank you. Frankly, our work is not done, but it shows when we work together, we can make a difference. The fourth goal has to do with partnerships. Also, you heard Dr. Sheila Edwards Lange mention several of the things. I want to add a few to what she has mentioned. Seattle Promise, you heard. Last year, it was passed last November through the work of many people that recently was just a minute ago recognized for their work. We worked with the city council, Seattle Public Schools passed the levy. This levy will dedicate exclusively $40.7 million in the next 7 years for Seattle public students to attend Seattle colleges. This coming year, Seattle Promise will expand from 7 to 17 high schools. In the meantime, we collaborated with several educational partners in King County, lobbying King County Council to allocate funds, what they call the PASTA funds. It's really the Sound Transit fee dollars to a county-wide Promise program. Just recently, the County Council approved the legislation that dedicate $112 million, which is about 38% of the total PASTA funds. Sheila mentioned the new medical assistant program with Kaiser Permanente. Seattle Central and staff at Seattle College's workforce development worked with Seattle Permanente to bring this on board. This is including scholarships and internship, one of the two great examples of collaboration. Dr. Edwards Lange also mentioned Year Up. This is a program specific targeted low-income students between the ages of 18 and 24 with skill development, college credits, and internships. 80 students are now enrolled. Possibly we're looking at to expand it to south, potentially north as well. Sheila also mentioned the, this is not on the slide, but it's called the Rising Educators. Seattle Central is working with Seattle Public Schools to launch the Academy of Rising Educators. Program will diversify teacher workforce. Now, the first cohort has been, 30 students has been enrolled. Seattle North recently hosted the Mayor's State of the City, giving North Seattle College and Seattle College's a very positive exposure. These but a few examples of remarkable progress and achievements we made collectively towards the 4 strategic goals. If time permitted, I could cite many more, but suffice to say, our progress is real, our direction is right, and we have much to be proud of. Today, as we celebrate our progress, we must guard against self-complacency. We need to acknowledge the gap between where we are, where we want to be, where we need to be. We must stay focused and united because we face urgent challenges. President J.F. Kennedy in 1963 said a few words that is very appropriate for where we are today. He says, hold fast to the best of the past, move fast to the best of the future. For sure, in the new academic year, we will scale up the Seattle Promise program. We will prepare to launch Seattle Promise Endowment Campaign. We will move Seattle Pathways forward according to plan. We will complete Starfish Phase 2. We will begin CDC Link implementation. We will evaluate ASI Phase 1 work and possibly launching ASI Phase 2. We will complete the integration of international programs, and all of these major projects will demand collective work and heavy lifting. So allow me 1 more minute on the topic of ASI integration. We have been engaged in organizational cultural changes for over 2 years. These changes are really meant to bring greater efficiency, effectiveness, agility, and competitiveness for our system. Going forward, we need to ask ourselves a few important questions. For example, do the changes matter to our future? Are the changes the right ones? What additional changes should we consider for the future? So for this reason, trustees and the Chancellor leadership team have decided to ask external firm to help assess the work we have done the last 2+ years and to solicit your ideas on additional areas for review. You will be invited to provide feedback on the ASI work via confidential interviews, college listening sessions, and an online survey that will be issued tomorrow to all Seattle College employees. I encourage you to take time to provide feedback. In the midst of this busy work, we must not lose sight of a real urgent challenge that faces our system. In the remaining time, I want to turn to this matter and share with you some of my thoughts. The challenge we face is continued enrollment decline coupled with a high attrition rate. At a high point, Seattle colleges enrolled 53,000 students. That's 2008 and 2009. Last year, we enrolled 44,000 students, a 17% decrease. For international students, we used to serve 3,384 students 3-4 years, some 6-7 years ago. And 2018, we enrolled 2,220 students. That's 34% decline. Combining together, this means a reduction of millions of dollars. So there's another data. At the same time, our quarter-to-quarter student retention rate. So we look at 2018-19, our baseline was 62%. So we set a goal to increase 2% every year for 5 years. So by 2022-23, we want to get to 72%. Unfortunately, last year we slipped a bit. Right now, we are at 59%, which means for every 100 students that enrolled with us, 41 of them do not return in the next quarter. We compete for students in the same market with 10 other community technical colleges in King County. We have limited capacity to shape or influence the market conditions. We have very limited dollars that are devoted to advertisement. So we must focus on something that is we have a better control, that is increasing student persistence or student retention. We must make our colleges distinctive to attract more students. At the same time, we need to enable our students who are already enrolled on our campuses to stay, persist, graduate, and complete. If we cut the attrition rate by 3 to 4+% this per year for the next 4 years, we will reach the 72% target. More importantly, we will enable thousands more students to get an education, to get a good job, and to enjoy good lives. We will literally changing thousands of lives for the better. Let me ask colleagues, for reasons of moral obligation, for reason of social justice, and for reason our system's long-term viability and sustainability, can we accept 41% attrition? Thank you. Thank you. The answer is absolutely not. We must act now. Increasing student persistence takes more than getting a goal or talking about it at a convocation or colleges forums. It will take planning, implementing proven strategies, leveraging technology tools, tracking numbers against the target, and participation of everyone in our system. Years of retention research, both at the 2- and 4-year colleges, tells us the most crucial strategy, it is to take a system approach to enable students to feel they belong, they matter, and they are supported at every interaction on our campuses, both in and outside the classroom. We must work on enable our students, most of them, the students we serve, are part-time, working, have multiple life demands, to help them feel integrated with our academic programs and campus life. So this morning, I ask all of us to know that increasing student retention completion, it is an urgent matter. I want every one of us to accept the challenge, think about how each one of us, regardless our individual role or title, can and should do on our part to support, to make a contribution. I ask our leadership team members, from college president to managers, to take this goal personally and seriously. Think about how you might use your leadership role to support, enable faculty, student service professionals, and those who work with students in the front line. Think about how we can continue to deliver academic programs at spaces, times, and with methods that meet students' needs. I ask our faculty, tenured, probationary, and part-time faculty, to take this goal seriously and personally. We have, through our college, wonderful, dedicated, committed, talented faculty members. Our students have told us, you teach well, you care about student success. So I encourage our faculty to continue to practice teaching excellence, instruction excellence in the classroom. I encourage our faculty to use technology tools such as Startfish to refer students who are experiencing academic difficulties or life challenges to a counselor, to an advisor for support. I ask our student service professionals, many of them in the room today, whether working in registration, admissions, financial aid, advising, tutoring, or veteran services, or special funded programs, to take this challenge personally and seriously. Think about how you might approach every student encounter, because you see many students every day. Every encounter with constant patience, consistent patience, responsiveness, and smiling faces. We do not have the resources to compete in the advertisement marketing front, but we should compete in the front of service excellence. At the heart of student retention, it is creating value, increasing student satisfaction, and meeting student expectations. As we talk about this important matter, we must keep in mind, we at the Seattle colleges serve more students of color, students with disabilities, students with different sexual orientation, students with prior criminal backgrounds, students speaking different languages than perhaps any college in the state of Washington. Yes. These students have different needs, and they, relative to other students, have historically performed, completed at lower rates. We must change that picture. We must always apply the equity lens when we plan, strategize about student success. So please understand the critical role we all play in continuing the transformative work we do. I'm confident when we engage with each other, when we support each other, when we take this goal seriously and personally, we can not only move the student's needle, we can move our system forward in meaningful and transformative ways. Kay Ryan is a celebrated American poet laureate and an educator. In fact, she taught in community colleges. I want to end my remarks this morning by sharing a powerful quote from her by Kay Ryan. I quote, I simply want to celebrate the fact that right near your home, year in and year out, a community college is quietly and with very little financial encouragement, saving lives and minds. I can't think of a more efficient, hopeful, egalitarian machine, with the possible exception of the bicycle. We are quietly, persistently saving lives and minds. Have a successful, wonderful academic year. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Pan, for your inspiring and honest words this morning. We all appreciate your passion for this work. Next, we have our panel, which is moderated by Jon Fine, the President and CEO of United Way King County. Jon will be joined by our chair, Steve Hill, Chancellor Shouan Pan, and all three of our college presidents. As we reset the stage, I would like to turn your attention to the screen over here for our orientation video. This project is one of the Seattle Pathways initiatives, and it supports our institutional goal of student success. The effort also marks the collaborative work of a district-wide committee of orientation, student services, and advising professionals. Segments of this video will also be used on your college's orientation website.
Congratulations! You've taken a big step towards realizing your goals and dreams, and we're 100% committed to getting you where you need to go. This orientation is intended to help you start down that road, strong, confident, and well on your way to making the most out of your college experience. Our programs are designed to help you reach and exceed your goals, from earning a high school diploma to completing a 4-year bachelor's program, or preparing for a career in healthcare, business, or humanities. You name it, we have a path for you. Seattle colleges have campuses and specialized training centers throughout the city, and countless options are available to fit your schedule and learning style, including daytime, evening, and weekend classes, as well as online courses. Get started by visiting our website. Review our areas of study and the types of degrees and training we offer. Then, explore the programs and career pathways that really speak to you. We believe in you and know you can achieve great things. Our goal is to connect you to what you need to thrive, academically, socially, physically, and emotionally. It all starts with your Success Network, your personal support group of instructors, your academic advisor, and service centers on campus who can help you find tutoring and counseling. They can even help you find assistance with your finances, housing, and childcare. Get started by meeting with your academic advisor every quarter to refine your education plan and connect with other services. The culture of our campuses starts with our students. Each one of you has a unique perspective to share, and we encourage you to expand that perspective by leading and participating in student government, clubs, and activities. There are many ways to get involved, from fitness classes to leadership organizations, plus a full calendar of forums, art shows, and other events. And when you need a break from the action, each of our campuses has places to meet, study, or grab a quick bite. Keep an eye on your school's event schedules and activities, or if you don't see anything you like, create your own. Need help to reduce the cost of tuition, books, or other living expenses? We're here to support you. Begin by visiting your school's financial aid office, applying for scholarships, and looking into other benefits available to you. Remember, it pays to start early. The sooner you apply for financial aid and scholarships, the more options you'll have for funding your education. After orientation, your next steps are registering for classes and paying tuition. Make sure you're taking the right courses to meet your goals. If you have any questions, your academic advisor can guide you in determining what the right schedule is for you. Also, remember to register as early as possible to get the best class and scheduling options. And be sure to check your email. We'll continue to send you important information and tips to help prepare for class. Welcome to Seattle Colleges. We can't wait to get to know you.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to Jon Fine, President and CEO of United Way King County. Jon joined United Way in the year of 2000. Since then, he has transformed the organization by engaging our community's most prominent business leaders in a $100 million annual fundraising campaign. I wish we could have that. Can you teach us?
Someday
And it
soon.
was the largest of the nation's United Way chapters. He also established the Gates Challenge Endowment, which addresses urgent local community needs. Under his leadership, United Way King County has remarkable progress in 3 strategic areas: fighting homelessness, breaking the cycle of poverty, and helping students graduate from high school and college. Jon also serves as one of our board members on the Seattle Colleges Foundation. The hallmark of his tenure has been his laser focus on accountability and results, which makes him the perfect fit for today's panel. Thank you, Jon. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you, Jessica, for that kind introduction. It's exciting for me to be here. I've seen the good work of Seattle Colleges from a distance, and now I'm excited to help you raise some money and to do it up close. We have a dynamic panel today. We're going to be discussing the ASI initiative, Achieving System Integration, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. Before I do want to set a little bit of context, mostly as an outsider, but partly as a recent insider. You clearly are doing some important and worthwhile and good work here at the Seattle Colleges. It starts with the students, where you have motivated and ambitious students. It includes the faculty and staff, where you're the backbone of the organization. You're the unsung heroes, and you're doing great work. And it includes the results, some of which are on your scorecard and some of which you've heard from Chancellor Pan. You're clearly making a difference. At the same time, you've also heard that there are challenges. Those challenges include enrollment, retention, and also a funding model. In spite of some good work in the last year, funding is not easy in the Seattle Colleges system and community colleges in general. And so those challenges need to be addressed. One of the key ways that you all and we all are addressing them is with the ASI initiative. That initiative has a clear and compelling logic. It includes increased coordination, improved efficiency, a unified face to the outside world, prospective students, media, etc., and especially to prepare for the future and to create sustainability. But while there's a clear and compelling logic, there's often a distance between the theoretical and the practical. And so today we want to discuss how things have gone and where we see them going. And you've been introduced to the panel. I think there's no one better here to discuss those things than the panel that's in front of you. So to kick things off, I'm going to begin by asking Trustee Hill, when Chancellor Pan was hired, you all must have been thinking of ASI, and you all had some initial thoughts as to what his goals and what the organization's goals should be. Could you talk to that for us?
Thank you, Jon. And by the way, congratulations on the incredible impact you made at United Way. So I'd like to answer that question, I'd like to back up into the recruiting process. And when we were hiring a chancellor, in that announcement for a new chancellor, among the things that we asked for was a leader who could significantly improve student success, enrollment, retention, and completion in an environment of very limited funding. That was explicit in the announcement. The second thing we asked for that's germane to this is we wanted to maintain the strengths and the uniqueness of our individual colleges, but we also wanted to bring the district together better, better coordination, more efficiency, less redundancy, and better serve the community and our students. So we specified those in the announcement, and I will mention that Jill Wakefield encouraged us when we interviewed her about what should be in the job profile. She encouraged us, you should find somebody who could take this district to the next level. And so we attempted to find somebody to do that, and I think we were very successful. But along the way to do that, we had an interview with 3 finalists, and that interview included what we called a role play, but they led the trustees in a discussion about how exactly they would do those 2 things I just mentioned: improve student success and bring the district to a different level. And out of that process, we selected Dr. Pan, and then we engaged in several months of conversations with him, and Chair Sita and I went to Mesa and interviewed his team down there and so on. But there were a number of conversations about this actually before he actually agreed to come here and what the trustees wanted. When he arrived, we asked him to learn about the district, learn about the community, learn about the students, and then come back to us with a plan. And he engaged us in that process. We followed what he did, and then he did come back to us with a plan. So the priorities and the framework of ASI definitely come out of what we ask in the recruiting and interview process and our preliminary conversations with Dr. Pan, but the actual specifics and the framework for ASI were developed by Dr. Pan.
Thanks, Steve. Dr. Pan, so ASI has clearly been an important factor for you, and you came here with the expectation that something like this would occur. The college presidents have needed to relate to each other. How do you see their interaction going, and have things changed in that sphere?
Thank you, John. At the Seattle College, we have 3 wonderful, outstanding, very capable college leaders, each one of them. I appreciate all of them. As a team, we meet regularly, one-on-ones, group meetings. Sometimes we disagree. Sometimes they disagree with each other. But over time, we have learned the college presidents has a difficult job to do. Not only they're leading the college, they also have a responsibility for the entire system. So sometimes the culture is such that they are put in a difficult spot. I understand it. I served as a college president in a multi-college district. The dynamics we experience is not unique. But we have a team that we have learned how to disagree professionally, respectfully, and we always leave the room with understanding. We will support each other. We'll go in the direction. I have consistently encouraged them to push me to disagree with me, and I will do the same. I think that has gone very well. I have truly appreciated their support on a number of major initiatives. I think today the college presidents understand when they ask questions, when they think about program, they now begin to think about how this affect North or South, and vice versa. When Rosie think about pathways, she will automatically think how this help or affect North. We get to that spot, we are beginning to really begin to think about each other as a system. That's a wonderful, wonderful change.
That sounds like a healthy and productive relationship, even if not always smooth 100%
Right.
of the time.
Right.
Thank you, Sean. Sheila, I'm going to direct this next question to you. So with the ASI initiative, what about it and what you've been involved in have you been most satisfied with, proud of, excited about?
Well, I'll tell you, I appreciate Dr. Pan's leadership because, as he said, we work together as a team. And I was so excited about the ASI initiative and a little apprehensive just because of the concern about maintaining our individual unique identity. But I was super excited about integration because our systems and how we work together across the 3 colleges really needed a lot of improvement. My second year here at Seattle Central, we started fall quarter with no technology. And when we discovered part of our issue here at Central was that each college had different platforms for how we were doing technology. So when I think about ASI, the thing that I am most excited about was some of the things that Dr. Pan mentioned earlier. I now can go to North Campus and log on, use my Wi-Fi there. And you all, those of you who go from campus to campus, you know how important this is. You can't get your email or you can't get work if you're at another campus. Now we can do that. The other thing that I'm most excited about is we are moving to platforms that, like our web technology, that allow us to save money. We can have one license instead of four for some things. We can get economy of scale in our technology and how we use it. We can do common training across it. For our students, I think one of the most exciting things that I heard was that our students now can pay with credit cards in places rather than having to stand in line. And you know, as someone who went to college in the 80s, standing in line, I used to think that was what college was all about, but it is not. Our students today do not want to stand in line. And so our technology has evolved because we're working as a system now, so that just the simple thing of allowing our students to not stand in line. So lots of it, I could go on and on because I'm really excited about ASI and that we have been able to maintain our unique identities as campuses.
Technology can be a help or an impediment, and it's great to hear that it's being a help, and thanks for sharing that. Warren, anything that surprised you about ASI?
Well, there's different levels of surprise, and so maybe I'll talk about all of them. But you know, I'm a curriculum and instruction person, and I believe that everything you learn about institutions, you learn through curriculum and instruction, teaching and learning. And there's a principle by the theorist called Winger, and he said that you need to structure your assignments so they're well designed, but also open where it's emergent. And I'm sure many faculty members, you spend a lot of time designing a very clear lesson plan or design a very clear test, and then a student answers it in a way that you did not anticipate, right? And so that's opening up for those emergent things that can happen. And as a framework, that's really with ASI. It's realizing there's a direction, but also noting there's going to be emergent things that come out, and that's part of the learning. Just like for students, it's part of the learning with emergent pieces. So I could probably talk about like in the weed things, and maybe I'll just give a couple examples of a couple of surprises, but then I'll kind of really base it on an overall surprises that we've gathered. So kind of on small surprises, likewise, technology has been very helpful across the district, but one small surprise was we've moved from independent rave alerts into its kind of centralized and coordinated. So when Central had a lockdown drill, someone pressed the wrong button and went to North as well. And so people were wondering at North what was going on. But again, that's kind of an example of something that's in the weeds, but I'm going to take kind of a more broader approach to surprises. I think one surprise is how people have different perceptions of the rate of speed. How fast should we go? How slow should we go? And I'm thinking about, for some of you, the speed of ASI harkens to the movie with Keanu Reeves in 1994. Remember that, Speed? Am I the only one that saw the movie Speed? Right? Oh, okay. Some people are right, Speed. So the point of the movie was there's a bomb on the bus, and if the bus drops below 50 miles per hour, it was going to explode, right? So for some of you, it's all about moving fast and moving faster because it's not just a movie, but it's our students, right? And so the longer it takes us to implement and finalize a structure, then it can impact our students negatively. So we want to be fast. But then others have perceptions, well, we maybe shouldn't go as fast. We need to make sure that people adjust to this new structure. And individuals might say that you can have a fast-moving car, but if you don't have a steering wheel, you're still not going to be going in the right direction. So that's kind of the embedded perceptions that people have about the rate, the speed that we should be going. The second surprise has been at the state level, where we've got presidential colleagues that they are very nice to us to our face, or not, you're right. But behind the scenes, they're looking for opportunities to get into the Seattle market. So we've already heard when there was ASI around nursing, there were college presidents and colleges that were telling students, you don't want to go to the Seattle colleges for nursing. They're still reorganizing that. You want to stay at, well, I won't name the college, right? So they were putting in a space where they're looking at our ASI efforts as an opportunity for them to move into the Seattle market, which we don't think is a good thing. And that's also happening with international programs. As we restructure that and have a better structure going forward, there's other colleges that are trying to seize that opportunity to move in to our space. So that's one surprise. And then the final surprise deals with how our community around us understand this initiative. Chancellor Pan, when he first came in, he put together a group of presidents and institutional researchers to talk to people in the greater Seattle area about the importance that they perceive for system integration. And the surprise there was people in Seattle were keenly aware of areas that we could work better as a district than as individual colleges. So it was just quite a surprise knowing that we are all in this work, but people within our community have already set impressions where, in fact, some people said, I thought you'd already integrated into one system. So there's a lot of different lenses of surprises, but of course, to get through that are the opportunities for us to reposition the colleges and the district.
Yeah, as an outsider, I would say that I wasn't aware of ASI, and as I got ready for this panel, it was interesting to see all the different elements of it. But also as an outsider, you've had a Blue Ribbon Commission that's thought about it, you've had outside consultants. It clearly has a compelling logic. So, Rosie, in spite of the compelling logic, there had to have been some challenges. What are some of the challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
I like that I get the in spite of logic question. Thank you. There's this phenomenon, tongue-in-cheek phenomenon that I've observed through not just our ASI work, but just from working in the district for many years, and that is what I call the 2 out of 3 rule. On any given practice or process, there's 2 out of 3 of us usually who are doing it the same or similarly, and then one of us who's the 1 out of 3. And that has rung true, almost hilariously true and consistent throughout a lot of the ASI work. Of course, there's something that only 2 of us have done the same way for decades and the other one's been doing very differently. Of course, there's something, and I always laugh when South is typically the 1 out of 3 in that phenomenon. And so that has been, that's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek way to talk about what some of the challenges have been, because the real challenge is that we're 3 separately accredited, separate institutions with really strong identities, and with faculty and staff who are there and who are passionate about their work and really identify with those identities. And so when we talk about what the ASI initiative, what the changes have been like, change, it really rings true, that saying that change is about loss, whether managing loss, whether real or perceived. And so in many ways, the work that we've been initiating under this round of achieving system integration work has really forced us to identify these are both the real and perceived losses all have to be managed as sensitively and as intentionally together. That it can't just be, well, that's not really the change, so we just got to deal with this stuff over here. No, we've got to deal with the stuff in both columns, because that's what our colleagues are experiencing, and that's what our colleagues, that's what drives either fearful thoughts or assumptions or hopeful thoughts or assumptions about the work. So really managing that perceived or real sense of loss has been the biggest challenge. I think some of the ways that we've really learned how to do it well, or better at least, is, for example, in the Seattle Pathways work. South has been doing guided pathways work since about 2016, 2017. And so we had a bit of a longer runway into this redesign work across instruction and student services than our colleagues did when they came to the table around the Seattle Pathways concept a little over a year ago. And so for us, it was managing what was the slowing down of the speed, right? The bomb is on the bus, we gotta go. But we also know that we needed to further the analogy, perhaps in a dangerous way, we needed to get our colleagues from North and Central, we all needed to be on the same bus moving forward on this. And so that meant that we had to really reorganize our thinking and our approach and get around the table as colleagues across the district to plan the work together and not just South go ahead and everybody else catch up or follow along. And so really one of the biggest and most important methods for overcoming some of our challenges have been really true and well-identified engagement at the outset to design the changes together at implementation, because we are not the experts. It's the folks that are sitting in the chairs or watching online that are the experts, and that we really need to help as leaders facilitate how the experts come together and design the change and the initiatives.
Thank you. We don't have a lot of time left on the panel, but I want to really emphasize moving forward now. So first, for the college presidents, how do you see us moving forward in both maintaining a unique identity but coming together in smart, responsible ways? Maybe I'll go left to right. Warren first.
Oh, okay. So I think the Chancellor's really set out the context where we need to look at different programs of excellence across the district, and then to highlight that and have that college work with others. And I think that's a very good framework that we're working with. The other part is clarity over what is merger, what is a new structure, what is centralization, and so being very intentional of what we mean by that. So for North, it's been just wonderful to talk about the strengths of our programs at North, the strength of our personnel at North, and put that on the table to see how can that then leverage an opportunity for us to work together, but to note there's differences at each colleges and specialties at each colleges where we can all rally together to support that college in that initiative, because it benefits the district as a whole.
Sheila.
Great. I think going forward, especially in the Seattle Pathways work and the Seattle Promise work, which is district-wide, and we're trying to make it, at least to students, appear very seamless. Sort of emphasizing what is unique about each one of our campuses, but doing it in a framework that we all share. So, for example, we all share the areas of study as identified by Guided Pathways. We're all going to be pursuing system redesign, but how we do that at each campus will be unique to each campus. So I think we will continue to, as Rosie say, rely on those of you who are doing the work to come together across all three campuses to think about what our collective framework is and for the work that we're doing, and then we'll come back to our individual campuses and say what is unique about that for our campus. So at Central, Pathways will be uniquely focused on African American men, and that's our metric that we're using. And so I'm not sure that the other campuses are doing the same thing, but that's our metric. That will be our what we will use to measure our success in Guided Pathways. So I think it's doing things similar, consulting, but then capitalizing on our unique identities.
And Rosie?
I think moving forward, one of the ways I want to see us evolve our effort is really shifting from thinking about the technical change that we're trying to lead to thinking about the adaptive change that we're trying to lead. The technical is important because that's where the work happens. And I think that if we're moving forward and thinking more about the adaptive change, how do we build a culture and an identity as a district that is as strong as the cultures and identities of individual colleges, that can help address some of the ways that we come together around the technical solution finding. So I would really love to see us develop that, and I think that we have the capacity to do that around the table.
And very briefly, before we conclude, last words from trustee or chancellor about how you see us moving forward.
I'd like to just maybe fall back on my life experience a little bit. I lived in an organization for most of my career that was, for a long time, was let 1,000 flowers bloom, and then competitive reasons forced us to think about what we could do better together while maintaining the uniqueness of some of the parts. And earlier today we celebrated what Laura had done with a common English 101 program. And from my experience and something like that, we learned that when we sat down and tried to come up with the best way to do something from dozens or hundreds of ways it was being done, that we ended up with really innovative and interesting, and particularly when we brought best practices in. But then locked down on a way we were going to do this across the organization. But then the other really important thing is to be open to learning and have checks every 12, 18 months where you say, well, this is the way we are doing this across the district, but how can we do it better? And from our experience, learn how to do it better. So, and then the final thing I would just say is that in the context, that all ought to be done in the context of the frame that Dr. Pan set in his talk, and that is, we ought to be making these decisions about how and what we do based on student success and completion.
Sean?
Well, thank you. Seattle College will continue to evolve. Whether we like it or not, change will continue to happen. Students, technology, funding. The system for the long-term survivability is truly important. I'm pleased to see over the last 2 to 3 years, more and more people are taking on the system thinking, realizing we have 3 colleges with great traditions, personality, and those are the strengths we need to keep, we need to safeguard, we need to protect. In the meantime, the system, how do we make Seattle colleges more competitive? What I say, the balance between internal congruency, external competitiveness makes us distinct, attractive, because we have obligation to students, we have obligation to the businesses. As we move forward, we just need to continue the dialogue. We need to begin to continue to, as leaders, setting the tone. The success, students from North and South, they are all Seattle students. They are Seattle residents. What do we do to give them best chance to succeed? ASI is not the goal. Student growth, student learning is the goal. ASI is but one of the tools to make an organization more agile, more responsive. If we keep that in perspective, the difficulties can be resolved. Disagreements can be resolved through dialogue, through conversation. I am hopeful that we made important progress. There's still a lot of work to do. So long we never lose sight why we exist, and that will help in many, many ways.
You're clearly on the right path, despite a few challenges. Congratulations. Thank you to all of our panelists.
Move over. I have something you need to say. I need a moment. Excuse me. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie. Hi, everyone. So, thank you all. I just have something to say, and I really want to ask you a question here. I don't know, did you realize what was wrong with the video? Did anyone realize what was wrong with the video? Can you raise your hand? If you realized what was wrong with the video? Raise your hand. If you realized something was wrong with the video. There were no captions. And we're talking about inclusion and accessibility and supporting students, and there are no captions on the video. Okay? Do you see the problem here? Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
For 13 years, I'm fed up. There were no captions on the video. Really? So you should do something about that next year. I want to see it better next year. I want to see all of you doing better next year.
So thank
we
you
do
for
classes, you do
bringing.
Classes, your leaders, your teachers, you should do better.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll make sure to make note of that for next year. I'm going to wrap us up so that we can get into our breakout sessions today. Let's hear it once again for our thought-provoking panel. Thank you very much. A few other quick notes before we close out our morning program. We will have our breakout sessions in the Broadway Edison building across the street. We will have workshops being held on the 3rd and 4th floor. Lunch will take place in the atrium at 11:30, and then we have my favorite part of every day, which is dessert at 2 p.m. in the One World Dining Room with the Chancellor. Don't forget your program, which includes maps, room numbers, and a fun bookmark to remind you of our guiding values. And as we close, thanks to everyone who planned Engage 2019, and to all of you for joining us this morning. Please engage with someone new today. Enjoy the rest of your day.